What up guys, it's Indigo Aurelia here. I'm here with my first video to teach you guys all about tongue bifurcation, aka tongue splitting or tongue forking. I just want to give my input of everything that I know about it to this day, and I'm sure there are certain things missing, so feel free to leave a comment below after the video to give me any constructive criticism about my video and the education that I'm giving, because I'm trying to do my best for what I personally have learned thus far. So here we go. And also, tidbit, sorry that I keep looking down throughout this whole video, because I do have notes to make sure that I don't forget anything. So here we officially go. Tongue bifurcation is the dissecting of the central area of your tongue like this. I personally got mine done by Chase Campbell. He's an amazing body modification artist. You can find him on Instagram at Zentraratna, or you can also contact him on Facebook via just Chase Campbell. So yeah. History on it a little bit of what I found and what I also knew about already is the Hatha and Kumbhaka yoga practice of the Kachari mudras. Sorry if I'm pronouncing any of this right. I'm really trying my best and trying to make sure that I found all the right pronunciations, so not trying to offend anybody. Just another tidbit there, so I'm trying my best. But basically the Kachari practice is when you flip your tongue and basically swallow it, so you can stimulate the epiglottis of the back of your throat and massage the soft palate to stimulate different parts of your brain and your pineal gland mainly, that causes an individual to further develop their psychic and spiritual abilities. It helps with conserving energy and also becoming more self-aware with who you are and what you really are, which is infinite immortal beings pretty much. And this practice helps you to connect with the astral world and separating your astral body from your physical body. So basically, some people would go to the extremes of splitting their tongue so they could milk both sides to elongate their tongue and be able to swallow it and be able to stimulate it a lot easier and faster with having two tongues versus having the one tongue. So that is a pretty interesting fact that I found. And more recently, in the last 20 years, when it was modernized, the first person I believe that it was Dustin Allor. She was 19 years old at the time, a body piercer, and she had come up with the tie-off method, which is when you have a tongue piercing already, whether it's stretched or not, it's easier. Some people say if it's stretched because it acts as an anchor so you don't have regrowth and whatnot when you're doing the tie-off method. So there's that she did that in 1996, and she was also featured in Fakir, Musafar's body, what's it called? The Body Play magazine in issue 16. But then after that there was Erik Sprague, which is aka the Lizard Man. He got his tongue bifurcated by Dr. Lawrence Buccino, and that doctor is an oral surgeon from New York, and they used a argon laser to cauterize the tongue, and that was the more even more the modernized version of how to split a tongue beside the tie-off method. And then after those two people, there was a third person who had a different type of laser cauterization and whatnot, and it kind of progressed from there. But that's all the information that I have about that right now. So, the next is procedure methods. First I have on here is actually going to a professional oral surgeon to get your tongue cauterized in half, which they use a laser to pretty much burn it apart, and it also helps with stopping bleeding a lot faster, little to no bleeding with cauterization because of the extreme heat that you're using to bifurcate the tongue. And that usually takes about 15 to 20 minutes to complete the procedure. Anesthetic is usually your choice with that because you are going to a professional with actual medical license and all that stuff, etc. So you can have the numbing with that if you choose, but if you don't want to, that's totally up to you if you're that insane to do something like that. That usually costs from anywhere from $500 to $3,000, if not more, depending on who you go to, how much experience they have, and everything like that. So that is for going to an oral surgeon. Next is scalpeling procedure with a blade or a sharp tool, preferably a number 11 scalpel, would typically be used in the modernized procedure, and it's a lot safer than using other material. That can go from anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes, usually not any longer than that. And yeah, that usually costs anywhere from $400 to $4,000. It's really variable with that, depending on who you go to and everything, and how much experience they have. Again, sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied here. And so that's for scalpeling. The tie-off method is, for the scalpeling also, it is a little more high risk because you definitely are going to have a lot more risk with blood and everything, and you want to make sure that you check up with your doctor if you have any blood problems or anything like that, or like naturally thin blood and stuff like that, because you definitely don't want to do a procedure like this and end up having to go to the hospital because you're excessively bleeding or anything like that. And also with scalpeling, you definitely want to make sure that it is sutured properly, because you do not want to just leave it split with nothing there, because there's going to be possible deformities, regrowth like crazy, and it's just not worth it. And I personally think it's unprofessional if you leave a tongue unsutured at all, because sutures just help with a lot of different things with the procedure and methods. Okay, anyway, back to the tie-off method. Now that is when you use a fishing line, or in some cases strong dental floss, to thread through an existing tongue piercing, preferably a large gauge one, typically from 2 gauge, anywhere from a 1/2 inch, because that does help anchor the bifurcation and not have such bad regrowth, since when you do the tie-off method, you're most likely just doing it yourself and you're not going to have sutures or anything unless you happen to run across someone or purposely go to an artist to only get it sutured, but I've never heard of anyone doing that. Usually when someone does the tie-off method, they just leave it how it is and it heals as it keeps splitting more and more. And that can cost anywhere from pretty much like $20 to $100, depending on if you already have your tongue pierced or not. If you're just now getting it pierced, it's going to cost money to do that, and then to buy the fishing line to split your tongue, etc. So that is a pretty variable thing. Also, if you're going to pay the money to get a stretching kit for your tongue to stretch it up first before you get it split. So that is pretty much it for methods. Healing process for cauterization and scalping is usually from anywhere from 1 to 2 weeks for initial external healing. Pretty much by day 8 to 10, it's going to be pretty solid on the outside. It's just the internal workings that is going to keep healing as time goes on. So pretty much by week 3 to 4, you are looking at pretty much total healing. But in some cases, depending on how you take care of it and all the other variable factors, it could take longer, or it might take even shorter if you take really good care of your bifurcation, which you should be, because this is a serious procedure to go through. And for the tie-off method, it can go anywhere from 2 weeks to a month, depending on how high your pain tolerance is and how much you're willing to deal with in a short period of time. I've known people that split their tongue with the tie-off method within a week because they just kept going crazy with it every single day. Or there's other people that had it from a month to even 2 months sometimes because they did it gradually and didn't want any extra crookedness after everything was eventually split. And after it's completely split, it usually will also take the 1 to 2 week time, same as before, to totally heal over and be done with the regrowth process and stuff like that. The pros to tongue bifurcation and why you'd want to get it done is, number one, I have discreet. It's a more discreet modification because it's in your mouth, and unless you're really open with your mouth and express your feelings with your tongue a lot, then nobody's really gonna notice it. For me, I show my tongue more when I talk for some reason, just because the way I speak. So more people do notice it, but it's really not a big problem because it's just my tongue, it's in my mouth, and nobody should be staring at my tongue anyway unless they're a creeper. So that's about it for that. Compared to other modifications, it's nice for being more secretive. Second, I have better muscle control. A lot of people think that you wouldn't talk as well once you have it split, but I found that I actually can talk better with a tongue split because I have a lot of more muscle built up on each side since it's split up, and I can do a lot more with it, obviously, because it is forked, and I learn different tricks and do different exercises. So before I got it done, I had more of a lisp, but now it's actually improved, which is pretty cool to figure out now that I've had it for almost 8 months, because I had a major lisp before, but now that I've gained more muscle control on each side, it kind of did help with the lisp, which a lot of people wouldn't see how that would make sense, but for me, that's how it worked. Third is fast healing. This procedure goes extremely fast with healing compared to other things because it's in your mouth, things in your mouth tend to heal a lot faster than any other part of your body. For scalpeling, you're gonna have your tongue sutured and sewn, whatnot. So you're gonna have to at least have your stitches in for 6 to 7 days. You don't want to have them in for longer than that because there could be problems with your tongue trying to grow over the stitches and stuff, and you pretty much never need to have your stitches in that long because your tongue's gonna be so mended together already, and with how fast it heals, it's just unnecessary. 4 is possibly reversible. You can get this procedure reversed. It's more complicated than getting it originally split. I personally don't see the reason why you would want to get it reversed because, like I said before, it's a discrete modification. So even if you get tired of it, you just stop sticking out your tongue, and that's pretty much it. And that does definitely cost more, which is a con for that, but it is reversible anyway. 5 is you really don't have much to lose with this as long as you're making sure that you go to a extremely professional artist that knows what they're doing, has a portfolio. Don't just go to anybody because they will mess you up seriously. And as long as you're going to someone you can really trust and that they're going to do a really good job, you don't really have much to lose because you're not removing any skin. All you're doing is just splitting it down the center, and if you really want to in the future, you can get it reversed. So there's that. I did add something that people don't usually talk about here because I don't care. Oral sex is a lot better, and you can do many more tricks. You can put things in between it, you can twirl things around and all that stuff, so that's definitely a fun part about having a split tongue, is it's more kinky, definitely more like on the BDSM side of things and stuff like that. A lot more kinky people are into this modification because it's such a sensual area of your body. Alright, and 6, I have weed out judgmental people. If you care about what people think in general or whatever, I don't know, I just thought this was a little tidbit to add that if people know that you have a tongue split and stuff like that, you see more of their true character and how they feel about body mods and stuff like that, so it could maybe help with seeing who you really want in your circle and stuff like that, and not having people around you that are going to shame you for having body modifications and stuff like that. Sorry, it's getting darker as time goes on. This outside's getting dark out. But anyway, number 7 and number 8 is basically because it's just awesome. Like, I just think it's a beautiful modification. It's unique. It has a lot of versatility. It's very fun. The aesthetic part of it is just pretty much a winner for me. And that's it for pros. Cons and why you wouldn't want to get this procedure done is mainly because if you're trying to go to someone that's not professional or is experienced enough in this type of work, you definitely seriously want to do your research, guys, because you don't want to just go to anyone for someone splitting your tongue in half. Like, you can lose your tongue, you can have serious nerve damage. Like I was saying before, if you have any blood thinning problems or anything to do with that, you definitely want to get that checked out first. You don't want to just go and get it done because you can seriously bleed out and have to go to the hospital or even possibly die from this procedure if you don't do enough research and do what you need to do to make sure that this is going to be 100% safe for you to do. So there's that. And it is expensive. You you're not going to want to just go to someone who's going to be like, oh, I'll do this for free, or I'll do this for like $50. No, you're going to at least have to look to pay at least $400 up to anywhere from $4,000 to $5,000. Honestly, it just all depends on who you go to, how much experience they have, etc. So you're definitely going to want to have to save up and make sure that you're prepared to dish out money for this procedure, because it's not cheap, and you don't want to just go to someone that's going to do it cheap because you want quality and you're going to want to pay extra to make sure that you have the best tongue that you're ever going to have for the rest of your life, because like I said before, again, this is permanent mostly, and you don't want to have to go through getting it sewn back up or try to get it redone or anything like that, because that's just a pain in the ass and you're just not going to want to deal with that, I promise you. What else? Sorry, I have spots in my eyes from looking at the screen. Pretty much you don't want to lose your tongue. You could lose your tongue and you can get a serious infection. If you go to the wrong person, you could have excessive swelling, you can choke on your own tongue, you can swallow your own tongue, you can drown in your own spit, if that can be an issue. That's pretty much it for... Oh, and time off work, you definitely don't want to do this procedure if you have to worry about your job, and if you can't take time off work, you're going to have to at least take off a week off of work to have the time to get the swelling down and get the stitches out before you do anything, because you're barely going to be able to talk in the first place, and you're not going to be really understandable or even want to talk by at least day 5. So definitely at least make sure that you have a week off of work and have that set up months or at least weeks beforehand, because you don't want to just go and get this and then you find out that you're going to have to at least do that and you get fired or something like that. So that's it for cons right now. A few different artists I have here that you could go to for this procedure is, first of all, Chase Campbell. He's my main body modification artist that I've had work on me. He's done my nostril punches before at 8mm. He did my lobe enlargement, which turned out really good. And he is just a really good artist and a cool guy, so I definitely recommend him first, since he did my tongue bifurcation, and it was a really nice experience and time. It was comfortable. Russ Foxx, he's a really good guy. Samppa Von Cyborg, Avaro Ojeda, and Brendan Russel, aka beastlife.com on Instagram. I know there's a lot more people than that do perform this procedure, but that's the main people that I would recommend and would trust to go to, beside from everyone else, sorry. So yeah, that is pretty much it for my first video. My next one is going to be my personal experience, more so of how my time with the bifurcation and healing went, and also frequently asked questions about how everything went and stuff like that. So I really appreciate anyone who took the time out of their day or night to watch this, and I hope I informed you well, and thank you very much, and tune in next time for when I talk about my personal experience with body modification. Peace!